Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of the Inside the Blue podcast. So, the World Series matchup is finally set. Tonight was Game 7 of the ALCS between the Mariners and the Blue Jays, and the Blue Jays emerged victorious. So, it looks like it will be the Dodgers versus Blue Jays for the World Series. Now, I want to kind of give like an outlook or like a breakdown of what this series could look like with both teams going into it. Kind of breaking down what their numbers are up to this point. But before we do that, I do want to dive into some news and interesting stats from LA Sports. So like I said, in my very first episode, I won't make like a whole episode dedicated to LA Sports or a specific team other than the Dodgers. But if I feel like I want to give updates on teams that I support or just find some interesting news, then I'll talk about it here. So I'm doing that in this episode. So I want to talk about the Rams first. In the Rams' first 7 games, they're currently 5-2. Now, these 2 losses I feel are interesting because, honestly, one of them could have been and was very winnable. Kyren Williams fumbling the ball in the end zone is just flat out embarrassing and just cannot happen. And I feel like, obviously, if he doesn't fumble that ball, the Rams definitely win it, I feel. So, realistically, the Rams should be 6-1, but, they're not. But I do want to highlight Matthew Stafford. So through 7 games, he has 242 passing attempts with 160 passes completed, which is about a 66% completion rate. He's gained a total of 1,866 yards, which is 3rd in the NFL, with the longest pass play being 88 yards total. He's allowed 2 interceptions, and he has 17 touchdowns, which is 1st in the NFL, and he's been sacked 11 times. He's also currently ranked 11th overall in the NFL. So Matthew Stafford is just having a tremendous season. We all know Matthew Stafford is very good. He's really, really good, obviously. But he's just having a great year, and for his age, he's really having a career year, and that's kind of crazy to say considering he won the Super Bowl like 3 years ago. But he's still proving that he's an elite quarterback and one that the Rams are so grateful to have. But now I want to move on to Puka Nacua, and I will get into his injury a little bit, but let's go over his stats up to date. So he has 616 total receiving yards, which is 3rd in the NFL, with a total of 54 receptions, which is 1st in the NFL. But out of all that, he only has 2 touchdowns, which is kind of shocking considering he's like the top wide receiver for the Rams. But yeah, only 2 touchdowns. And he's currently dealing with that ankle injury, which there is no set return date, which is kind of a big hit to the Rams. Not kind of, it is a big hit to the Rams because he's their best wide receiver and he is, league leading with receptions and total receiving yards. So that's a pretty big hit. However, Davante Adams is a really, really good successor or backup to Puka Nacua. He has 431 total receiving yards with 31 receptions and has 4 touchdowns. So he's not too shabby as the runner-up behind Puka Nacua. He's doing extremely well. But Puka Nacua could possibly return after the Rams bye week when they face the Saints, but we will definitely see what Sean McVay has to say once the bye week is over. So that's the Rams. I did want to kind of highlight what the Rams have been doing. They've been playing really, really good lately, except for those 2 losses, which again, they realistically should be at least 6-1, but Kyren Williams just made a huge mistake. But now I want to move on to the Kings. So the Kings are having a extremely slow and bad start to the season. They are 1-3 with 2 overtime losses through 6 games. That's extremely bad. They're scoring 3 or less goals per game and giving up 3 or more goals per game. So that's really shocking, really damning. It's hurting the team a lot. But there are major injuries that the Kings are suffering through right now, Kopitar being one of them. He is considered week to week with a foot injury. Newest Kings member Corey Perry had knee surgery back in September and was expected to be out 6 to 8 weeks. So we're nearing his return. Could possibly be maybe early November. That's more kind of a realistic timetable of his return, but we will see. And also Darcy Kemper is out with a lower body injury, and he is considered to be day-to-day. So you can clearly see why the Kings are giving up 3 or more goals per game with Darcy Kemper being out. Darcy Kemper is an extremely good goalie for us. He is our number 1 goalie. So you can clearly see why the Kings are losing by a large margin. So with these 3 injuries happening, the Kings are probably going to keep losing or playing really bad hockey until these 3 players are back and fully healthy, especially Kopitar, because Kopitar is the captain. It's also his final season. So that veteran presence is really, really needed right now out there on the ice to really help the team play as a cohesive unit, which they're not right now. They're really playing awful hockey. So once the Kings are fully healthy, I hope that they can right the ship. But right now it's really looking dim for them. And that's pretty sad to say. I really love the Kings and I really want them to do well. I want them to be back in the playoffs, even though we've been bounced out of the first round by the Oilers for like 3 or 4 years in a row now. Man, that's just terrible. But hopefully the Kings can right the ship when everyone comes back and is healthy. So that's 2 of teams I wanted to highlight from around LA sports right now. Nothing really interesting else is happening. I know the Lakers are set to begin the season tomorrow against the Golden State Warriors. So maybe in a future episode I can go over how that game went and go over some Lakers news. But that's pretty much it. They begin the season tomorrow against Golden State, and we will see how that game plays out. So now I want to move on to what this episode is mainly about, which is the Dodgers World Series outlook, and kind of break down both the Dodgers and the Blue Jays. So we'll obviously start with the Blue Jays because they are our opponent, and we will go into where the Dodgers are after that. So the Blue Jays postseason stats after tonight. Their team postseason ERA is 4.36. They have given up a total of 47 runs in 97 innings between the ALDS and the ALCS, which is decent. Obviously, like they clearly give up a lot of runs, but the Mariners offense was pretty good. However, I feel that the Blue Jays offense will outweigh the number of runs that they give up. Some interesting players to note are Vlad Jr., Ernie Clement, Nathan Lukes, and George Springer. So Vlad Jr., very, very, very dangerous hitter this postseason. He's batting .442 with 6 homers and 12 RBIs with an on-base plus slugging of 1.440 in 43 at-bats. So he is an extremely dangerous hitter. He is the dangerous hitter in the Blue Jays lineup. But not only is he batting above 400, Ernie Clement is also batting above 400. He is batting .429 with an OPS of 1.063 and 42 at-bats. He has 7 RBIs, but only 1 homer. So this guy brings in runs. He gets on base. He gets hits. He is an extremely dangerous hitter for the Dodgers to face. Nathan Lukes is batting .333 with an OPS of .791, in 39 at-bats with 7 RBIs and no homers. So another guy who can really get a lot of hits and knock in some runs. And lastly, the bad guy for the Dodgers, because he is a former Houston Astro, is George Springer. He's not batting 300. He's batting 239 with only 4 homers and 9 RBIs with an OPS of .930 in 46 at-bats. So he's doing average this postseason. He's playing some pretty good offense, and he had the go-ahead 3-run home run that sent the Blue Jays to the World Series tonight. So George Springer is slowly becoming a very dangerous hitter in the postseason, because now he's riding on the momentum of that 3-run home run that sent the Blue Jays to the World Series. And the Dodgers are no stranger to George Springer. Like I said, he is a former Houston Astro. He was a part of that 2017 Astros team that cheated. So it's going to be interesting to see the Dodgers face George Springer in the World Series again. The Blue Jays as a team are batting .296, so very, very good. Their offense is very, very dangerous. So the Dodgers pitching is going to have a lot of work cut out for them. But let's get into that Dodgers pitching for a second. They have a team ERA in the postseason of 1.98. They've given up only 18 earned runs over 83 innings between all 3 postseason series, being the wild card, the NLDS, and the NLCS. In fact, they only gave up 4 earned runs through the entire NLCS, which is absolutely insane. The starting pitching for the Dodgers has been nothing short of spectacular and top tier. So that's really encouraging going into the World Series, because they have the ability to slow down the Blue Jays offense. They are currently 9-1 in the postseason. The Dodgers have only lost 1 game this entire postseason. That was in the NLDS at home against the Phillies at Dodger Stadium. That's what I mean. And some possible starters for games 1 and 2 are, we're probably going with Blake Snell and Yoshinobu Yamamoto. The 2 best pitchers for the Dodgers are more than likely going games 1 and 2. However, I do want to highlight something which could be a cause for concern, or maybe a positive. You be the judge. Being off for nearly a week might slow down the Dodgers' momentum that they had throughout the postseason. They were pretty much playing back-to-back-to-back series, and now have the opportunity to have nearly a week off. That could slow down momentum, but maybe it could also prove to be a positive. The offense for the Dodgers was a bit slow, aside from the wild card series where they batted .374 as a team. They really, pummeled the Reds there. But in the NLDS, they batted .199, which was horrendous. You can clearly tell that pitching won that series, and they also had a lot of help from the Phillies, beating themselves, and had that huge error by Orion Kerkering. And in the NLCS, they batted .250, so they improved a bit during the NLCS. But I feel like the days off could help the Dodgers, but it could also be a momentum killer. So hopefully that's not the case. Hopefully it's just one where they're just getting better as, the time off goes on, that they're taking this time to really hone their swings and see pitches and improve, because the Blue Jays are a really, really tough team. I feel like this World Series between the Blue Jays and the Dodgers could possibly go all 7 games. It really just depends on the Dodgers pitching and the Dodgers ability to improve the offensive approach. A lot of them swing and miss and chase a lot, but there have been times where they have taken their walks and they have produced with runners in scoring position. So it's really going to come down to whether the Dodger offense can get to that Blue Jays pitching staff with the 4.36 team ERA, and if the Dodgers can uphold their team ERA of 1.98, so that way the pitching can stay elite and slow down that Blue Jays offense. It's really important for the Dodgers to take games 1 and 2. They do not have home field advantage in the World Series, so they will be playing games 1 and 2 at Rogers Center in Toronto. But we have seen in both the NLDS and NLCS that the Dodgers are more than capable of winning games on the road. They won both games 1 and 2 in the NLDS and NLCS. So maybe they can keep that momentum going, winning games 1 and 2 on the road and taking it back to Dodger Stadium for the next 3 games, which would be 3, 4, and 5, if needed. Which, honestly, this series, like I said, is probably going to go 7 games. If not, maybe 6. I think the outlook for this World Series is going to be a very challenging one for the Dodgers. It's going to be a very interesting one, and I think a very entertaining one for both Blue Jays fans, Dodgers fans, and just baseball fans in general. I look forward to the series starting this Friday, and hopefully the Dodgers come out on top and they can go back-to-back as World Series champions. Extremely difficult task ahead, but we will see. Also, I do want to clarify something that I said in my previous episode. I misspoke. I said that having a super team never equates to a World Series win. And I just want to clarify that I meant that having an all-star team or having the best team on paper doesn't automatically win you the World Series. That's what I meant to say. And I just kind of wanted to clarify that. It was kind of bugging me. Going back and listening to what I said, I kind of caught it too late. And I was like, that's not really what I meant. So I really wanted to clarify that what I meant was having an all-star team on paper and having, the highest payroll and stuff doesn't automatically mean you are going to win the World Series. So let me just get that out of the way. I thought I would clarify it. Anyway, I will see you guys in the next episode when hopefully the Dodgers are World Series champions. If not, I will still break down the Dodgers postseason when it concludes, and we will see who comes out on top in the World Series. So hope you guys enjoyed this episode, and I will see you guys in the next one.